What if a town itself was a living nightmare? A place where the very air you breathe is just saturated with dread, shaped not by some external evil, but by your deepest fears, your darkest secrets. What if the most terrifying monsters weren't just like creatures lurking in the shadows, but vivid, really grotesque manifestations of your own guilt, your
Wow.
trauma?
Well, what's truly captivating here, I think, is how the Silent Hill series didn't just go for jump scares or just throw monsters at you for the sake of it.
Right.
Instead, it dared players to confront something much more unsettling. The complex, often really disturbing depths of the human psyche. We're going beyond just the surface level scares today to understand why these games resonate so profoundly,
Yeah.
why they've sparked such intense ongoing discussions, and frankly, how they fundamentally redefined what horror could even be in gaming.
Exactly. And this deep dive, it's crafted specifically for you. Whether you're a veteran fan, someone who's navigated every foggy street, dissected every cryptic clue,
Yeah.
or maybe you're a curious newcomer wondering what all the fuss is about, what this legacy is.
Or maybe just someone who appreciates the artistry, right, behind compelling, terrifying narratives.
Precisely. Our mission today is pretty clear. We're here to give you quick, thorough knowledge, uncover some surprising insights, maybe spark some genuine aha moments about a legendary series that, let's be honest, left a huge mark on gamers. We're going to explore its groundbreaking history, the profound psychology woven right into its fabric, the ingenious technical tricks that brought its unique brand of dread to life.
And the fan theories, you can't forget those.
Oh, absolutely. The fascinating fan theories that continue to unravel its complex, often contradictory lore. They keep that dedicated community buzzing with questions and, curiosity. Really raises the stakes on what we think we know.
And to help us navigate this enigmatic town, we've pulled from a whole stack of sources. We've looked into in-depth articles that really dissect its design, passionate fan forums where players share their most intricate theories.
Yeah, the forums are wild sometimes.
Oh, they are. We've also got direct insights from the developers themselves and even some technical breakdowns of the PlayStation 1's hardware, which really shed light on the creative solutions they had to come up with. It's all here to give you a really comprehensive understanding of what truly makes Silent Hill such a masterpiece of dread and psychological storytelling. Right? The birth of a different kind of terror, Silent Hill's origins and vision.
Okay, so let's transport ourselves back. Late 1990s. The whole landscape of survival horror in video games
Yeah.
is pretty much dominated by one name. Resident Evil.
Yep.
Capcom had built this massive franchise, right?
Yeah.
Constantly evolving its formula, zombies, biological weapons, resource management. It was the undisputed king. People loved that visceral thrill, fighting for survival against these, grotesque creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But then, 1999, Konami steps onto the stage with something profoundly different title that wouldn't just challenge the reigning champ, but would kind of redefine the genre itself. It set up this unlikely but incredibly potent rivalry.
And this wasn't just, healthy competition. It represented a fundamental split, like a branching path for horror in gaming. If you think about the bigger picture, Resident Evil largely pioneered what we might call physical horror.
Right. Jump scares, monsters.
Exactly. Its initial focus was on tangible threats, shambling zombies, huge biological experiments, later maybe more action-oriented stuff. The fear came from immediate danger, from these external grotesque things trying to tear you apart. Silent Hill, though, deliberately chose a different path. It explicitly went after primal internal fears, psychological struggles. It made the external threats you faced direct reflections, often symbolic reflections, of inner torment.
Which really raises the question.
It does. It prompts a crucial question for you to think about. What genuinely instills more terror? A monster clawing at your window, or one that lives inside your head? One meticulously crafted from your own psychological baggage, your guilt, your repressed memories. Silent Hill was a conscious counterpoint. It challenged players to confront themselves, to journey into the dark corners of their own minds, and that made the experience just so much more personal and deeply, deeply unnerving.
And here's where the story gets really interesting. You might think a groundbreaking game like Silent Hill, it must have been some high-profile, big-budget project at Konami, right?
You would think so.
But surprisingly, no. The development was actually given to what was basically a team of outcasts at Konami Computer Entertainment Tokyo. This was a group of staff who, honestly, didn't quite fit the mold for the other big blockbuster franchises they were making.
Yeah, management didn't initially have much faith in them, did they? They kind of saw them as a B team, maybe given this project just to keep them busy.
Pretty much.
But that lack of corporate expectation, maybe paradoxically, gave Team Silent immense artistic freedom. They were largely free from a purely profit-oriented approach,
Wow.
which allowed them to kind of disregard commercial pressures and instead focus on creating what they saw as a true masterpiece, a game with an engaging story they hoped would last, endure over time. Their goal wasn't just about making money, it was to appeal directly to the emotions of players, to evoke this profound fear of the unknown, and to craft a plot that was intentionally vague and occasionally contradictory.
Intentionally vague. That's key, isn't it?
Absolutely key. This deliberate ambiguity wasn't seen as a flaw, it was a feature. Designed to encourage deep player reflection, interpretation, and lots of discussion in the community later on, it's really a powerful testament to the impact of unbridled creativity. It shows how sometimes when the corporate stakes are low, the creative freedom can be just monumentally high. It lets you take huge risks, and that can lead to truly groundbreaking results that reshape whole genres, this creative autonomy. It fundamentally defined the unique identity of the series.
And the key figures behind this artistic defiance, they're just as intriguing. Like Keiichiro Toyama, the director. He openly said he didn't have tons of experience with traditional horror films.
Right, which might explain why it felt so different.
Exactly. His influences were more towards like UFOs, the occult, and the surreal, dreamlike films of David Lynch. That definitely gave the game its distinct, unsettling, very Lynchian vibe. And then there's Akira Yamaoka, the legendary composer and sound director. I mean, his decision to use industrial music for the score, aiming for that cold, rusty feel, even when early staff thought it was a bug.
That takes conviction. And apparently he composed the music independently of the visuals, which is incredibly rare in game development. Just speaks volumes about his singular vision, his commitment to creating this truly unsettling soundscape.
Absolutely. And we cannot forget the dedication of Takeyoshi Sako, the artist behind the cinematics and a lot of the character designs. His story is just amazing.
It really is a powerful anecdote about fighting for your vision. He was young, started with basic 3D stuff, but quickly proved himself, even teaching older staff. He made these impressive 3D demos on his own time.
And then he basically had to force their hand, right?
Pretty much. When his contributions weren't really being credited, the story goes he went to the higher-ups with a fully rendered demo movie and basically threatened to withhold his technical know-how if he didn't get more substantial 3D work. Bold move, but it paid off. He ended up volunteering to create all the game's full-motion videos himself, worked tirelessly for 2.5 years, often through the night after everyone else left, using like 150 Unix computers.
That's incredible dedication. Just pure conviction, fighting for creative integrity against skepticism, really shows the personal effort that went into making this iconic game.
It absolutely does.
And speaking of creative genius under pressure, let's talk about the PlayStation 1. Those technical constraints, we remember the graphics, right? Blocky polygons, limited draw distances, stuff popping into view.
Not exactly immersive by today's standards.
Not at all. But Silent Hill did this magic trick. It turned those limitations into its greatest strengths, that constant oppressive fog. It wasn't just creepy atmosphere, it was a really clever solution to a hardware problem.
And this is such a crucial insight, how constraints can actually foster immense creativity. The developers ingeniously used that distance, fog, and darkness to obscure the graphics, to hide the pop-ins. It masked the PS1's limited power and draw distance.
So what could have been a flaw became a feature.
Exactly. What might have been a glaring technical issue in other games became a core defining part of Silent Hill's aesthetic, its whole sense of tension. The fog, which became totally synonymous with the game's unique dread, was initially just a practical necessity. But it perfectly aligned with the psychological themes. It created this profound sense of being lost, vulnerable, always anticipating what might be just out of sight. It powerfully immerses you, the player, makes you acutely aware of your limited perception, and just ramps up the psychological tension with every single step you take. Masterful stuff. Leveraging limitations to amplify vision and impact. 2. The Town of Manifestations. Setting, atmosphere, and technical deep dive.
So, okay, if we look at Silent Hill itself, it's clearly more than just a location on a map, isn't it? It's not just a backdrop. It feels almost alive, like a living entity, a sentient mirror reflecting whatever darkness, whatever issues the characters bring with them. It literally molds itself to you, a personalized nightmare.
That's precisely where the psychological horror gets so deep. The town becomes an active participant. The core concept is that Silent Hill acts as this metaphorical mirror, meticulously reflecting the inner struggles, the fears, the repressed memories of whoever enters. You see it best, probably, with James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2. His personal guilt, his trauma, they literally shape the grotesque creatures he faces, the very environments he walks through.
So the town isn't static.
Not at all. It's dynamic, evolving, almost like a warped, malevolent therapist's couch for the damned, you could say. The environments, the monsters, the reality shifts, they're all externalizations of internal conflict. And that directly intensifies the personal stakes for the character and by extension for you as the player, because you're grappling with their psychological baggage right alongside them.
And to try and make sense of how the town can be, abandoned in one game, but a functioning resort in another. There's that fan theory, the three Silent Hills theory.
Ah, yes. That one's gained a lot of traction. It's an ingenious attempt to reconcile some of those perceived plot holes, those narrative inconsistencies, adds a really compelling layer to understanding the town's instability.
So what does it propose?
It basically posits that Silent Hill exists across three distinct yet connected planes. First, the top plane, that's the seemingly normal, functional resort town. The Silent Hill outsiders might visit, though even there you've got the cult operating in the shadows.
Okay.
Then there's the middle plane, often called the fog world. That's where most of the games happen. It's desolate, fog-shrouded, and it draws in characters carrying profound guilt, trauma, or some connection to Silent Hill's history.
And the third?
And finally, the other world, the hellish, twisted nightmare realm, a grotesque, decaying reflection of reality where the town's darkest secrets and most monstrous manifestations come fully to life. This whole theory, it adds this profound layer of curious complexity to the town's nature. It makes you constantly question what's real, what's memory, what's illusion. It really deepens the unsettling nature of the place by challenging any sense of stability or singular reality.
Let's talk about the feeling of Silent Hill. That oppressive atmosphere, the way the sound just crawls under your skin and stays with you, it's an experience that really lodges itself in your memory, doesn't it? Long after you stop playing. It's just a masterclass in dread.
You're absolutely right. And that unmatched atmosphere, it's not accidental. It's meticulously crafted, several brilliant design choices working together perfectly. Like we said, the fog creates profound tension, obscures the horizon, makes running down the streets of this ghost town unable to see a few feet ahead. A core, terrifying part of it all.
Claustrophobic, even outdoors.
Exactly. And when the town shifts into the other world, it becomes this visceral, hellish landscape. Familiar places darken, twist, decay. They become rusted industrial grating, unsettling metallic environments, just intensifying that feeling of dread and despair.
And the sound design.
Yeah.
Kiri Yamaoka, just legendary. His use of sound is wow.
He is unequivocally a genius. His industrial score, that signature metallic screeching, the unsettling claying of metal on metal, combined with the iconic, dread-inducing radio static, that terrifying sound cue telling you enemies are nearby, it all works to set your heart rate through the roof.
But it's not just noise, is it?
Not at all. His genius went beyond just unsettling noise. He deeply understood that silence can be just as important and affecting as any music. And this isn't just like no sound, it's an unnatural silence, often strangely alien, rhythmic, or even hostile. That can be even more unnerving than a monster's growl. This masterful blend of sound, visuals, thematic depth, it creates a constant looming feeling of tension and fear, virtually unmatched in its ability to instill deep anxiety and dread. You're not just scared of something, you're scared by the environment itself and what it implies about your own fractured mind.
Yeah.
It's horror aiming for deep psychological impact, not just momentary fright, constantly challenging your mental state. Unlike Resident Evil's tension and jump scares, Silent Hill dares to tackle real-life themes, anxiety, depression, loss, obsession, pride, makes the horror deeply personal, profoundly meaningful.
So knowing all that, it makes you wonder, how did they do it? How did they pull off that incredible seamless fog effect on hardware as limited as the original PlayStation 1? It wasn't just a simple trick, was it?
Yeah.
More like engineering magic, painting with light almost.
It really was, and this is a truly surprising aha moment when you dig into the tech specifics. The PS1, by today's standards, was pretty primitive. Famously lacked a depth buffer. That's basically a built-in sensor telling the console how far away every pixel is. Crucial info for modern fog effects.
Right, no depth buffer.
And shaders, those powerful visual effects programs we have now, didn't exist. So developers had to be incredibly clever, like magicians making grand illusions with basic tools. Most games back then could only manage a simple fade-to-black fog where things just blended into pure black further away. But Silent Hill, it achieved vibrant colored fog, a monumental technical feat for the time.
That sounds incredibly tough given the limitations. What was their ingenious solution?
Their stroke of genius was something called additive blending, a much more complicated and resource-intensive technique, but really beautiful in how it worked. Imagine looking through a semi-transparent colored filter. Okay, simplified breakdown. First, the game draws a large, opaque, untextured polygon across the screen. That's the base fog color, that murky gray or rusty orange.
Got it.
Then, it draws the actual objects, monsters, trees, buildings on top of this base fog layer. But here's the key. These objects weren't drawn solid. They were rendered with subtle transparency, and that transparency increased the further away the object was.
Yeah.
When these transparent layers were additively blended with the base fog color, their colors literally combined, like different colored spotlights mixing on a stage. This meant distant objects gradually became more translucent, letting the base fog color dominate more and more, creating that smooth, colored, utterly terrifying mist that became Silent Hill's signature.
That sounds like a lot for the PS1 to handle at once.
It absolutely was. This method also needed clever handling of transparent textures, like leaves on trees. They used a semi-transparency bit in the 16-bit color data, plus things called mask control and force set check bits, basically telling the PS1 how to manage these see-through parts. For characters, they'd draw the character opaque first, then apply a semi-transparent fog quad, just a simple square on top, dynamically adjusting its transparency based on distance. This wasn't just art, it was engineering wizardry, pushing boundaries.
Wow.
This specific additive blending technique, combined with clever use of the PS1's unique hardware quirks, allowed for smooth, colored fog that truly immersed players in the fog world without exposing the hardware's limitations. It was intensive, sure, but the payoff was iconic, dread-inducing, and still influences games today. Really shows how pushing tech boundaries can create artistic breakthroughs, deepening that immersive quality. 3. The character's burdens. Trauma, guilt, and disturbing theories.
Okay, so beyond the shifting town, the chilling sounds, the tech wizardry, Silent Hill, at its heart, it's profoundly about its characters. And these aren't your typical action heroes, bravely charging in. They're deeply flawed, profoundly burdened individuals. Their journeys are intensely personal, often heartbreaking, always steeped in psychological torment.
And that focus on character complexity, it's a key differentiator from so many contemporaries. Silent Hill protagonists are just more complex, more flawed. They often arrive in town already carrying tragic pasts or significant emotional baggage.
They're drawn there, aren't they?
Exactly. Drawn to Silent Hill not just by external events, but by this profound internal pull. A deep-seated need to face their past and confront whatever it is that's keeping them from moving on with their life. That makes their journey inherently meaningful and, like you said, often heartbreaking. Because you, the player, you witness their psychological unraveling. The challenges aren't just about physical survival, they're about their sanity, their ability to process grief, trauma, guilt, their capacity to find some kind of resolution.
James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. He's the quintessential example, right? Travels to this desolate town looking for his supposedly dead wife, Mary, after getting a mysterious letter from her. His whole journey just morphs into this elaborate, dark psychological odyssey, completely driven by his personal trauma, his guilt, and this desperate, maybe delusional need for reconnection.
Precisely. And while Harry Mason in the first Silent Hill might seem more conventional initially, like a boring protagonist who just wants to find his daughter and leave,
Yeah, seems simple at first.
but his desperate, single-minded search for Cheryl is what drives the entire terrifying narrative. He's forced to confront a malicious cult, navigate a nightmare realm, purely out of love for his daughter. It transforms his simple goal into this harrowing, deeply personal quest, imbues his struggle with immense emotional weight, a relatable sense of desperate urgency.
But the stories, they don't just wrap up neatly when the credits roll. The developers intentionally leave so much ambiguous, and fans have just run with it, haven't they? Dissecting every detail, every cryptic clue, unearthing theories that twist our understanding of these characters and their fates in really unsettling ways.
Oh, absolutely.
These aren't just wild guesses either. They're often shockingly plausible. They add these profound layers of meaning, keep the mysteries alive, generate so much curiosity in the community.
And these sound fan theories, they're really a testament to the game's intentional ambiguity and psychological depth. Aspects the developers purposefully wove in. Let's dive into a few. Consider the chilling theory from Silent Hill 2. Mary is in the trunk.
Oh yeah, that was famous.
It posits that James murdered Mary, his terminally ill wife, and overcome by guilt and trauma, put her body in the car and drove straight to Silent Hill. The drive itself, the theory goes, is where his psychosis fully took hold, caused temporary amnesia, made him genuinely believe that letter from his dead wife was real.
And then the developer, I Do So, weighed in.
Kind of. The debate got even more intense when game writer Masahiro Ito tweeted in 2012 something like, "The Mary's body is on the back seat of James's car, not in the trunk, if I remember correctly." Fans immediately went nuts. Was this a deliberate troll from a famously cryptic developer, or confirmation that James's delusion was so deep he'd blocked his visibly dead wife out of his mind, even lying right there beside him?
Chilling either way.
Exactly. Whether she was in the boot or the back seat, the core idea that James is a murderer, deluded by his own mind, remains bone-chilling. It intensifies the tension around his perceived innocence, makes you deeply reflect on his true state of mind.
That's a really dark take. Yeah. What about Silent Hill? Origins. There's a theory suggesting Travis Grady, the protagonist, isn't just some innocent truck driver passing through.
The Travis Grady is a serial killer theory, arguably one of the most compelling and unsettling fan theories in the whole series. After a profoundly traumatic childhood, his mother tried to gas him, his father later committed suicide. Travis has this suspicious 15-year gap in his history.
Right, unexplained time.
The theory suggests he developed dual personalities during this period, possibly committing murders. The evidence. His keen observation and collection of crime scene photos found in Silent Hill, and a particularly disturbing line when he finds a shovel. Good for maiming bodies and burying them.
Oof.
Yeah. And the bad ending of Origins really leans into it. Shows Travis seeing flashes of the Butcher, a monstrous killer manifestation he defeats in the game, plus visions of his own bloody hands, strongly implying the Butcher might be Travis's own monstrous repressed identity. This theory just profoundly challenges your view of the character you're controlling, forces you to question his morality, adds this chilling layer of self-doubt to the whole narrative.
And what about Alex in Silent Hill? Homecoming. There's that theory challenging the big plot twist about him.
That's the intriguing Alex is innocent theory. The game's story strongly implies Alex Shepard was directly responsible for his younger brother Josh's drowning. But given Silent Hill's known ability to create false memories, distort reality, conjure illusions, many fans think this might not be the whole story, or even the true story.
So maybe he didn't do it.
Maybe not directly, or maybe the memory is corrupted. There are character inconsistencies in the drowning flashback, and a lack of other solid evidence really implicating Alex that way. The strongest piece of evidence, though, Pyramid Head. Pyramid Head in Silent Hill famously manifests to punish those burdened by great, often hidden sin. In Homecoming, Pyramid Head appears and even kills Alex's abusive father. But, and this is critical, never so much as looks at Alex the wrong way.
And Pyramid Head doesn't lie.
As dedicated fans often say, and the Pyramid Head don't lie, this theory creates instant curiosity, directly challenges a central plot twist, makes you question memory, perception, everything within Silent Hill's manipulative grasp.
I've also heard about a theory concerning Ernest in Silent Hill 2, Restless Dreams. Adds a lot of depth to James's journey, apparently.
The Ernest theory, yeah. It suggests the voice James hears through a door in the Restless Dreams scenario, also known as Born from a Wish. This entity called Ernest isn't an external person. It's a manifestation of James's own fragmented mind.
Which fits the game's themes.
Perfectly. Since most things in SH2 are externalizations of James's psyche, Ernest seems to know intimate details about Mary's murder. His own past experiences seem to mirror James's. He subtly guides James through Silent Hill with notes and messages, acting almost like a subconscious guide. The theory implies Ernest is the part of James's mind holding those repressed memories of the murder, subtly steering him towards a painful but necessary resolution. It really showcases the depth of James's subconscious torment, transforms a seemingly minor character into this powerful symbol of internal conflict, the mind's desperate struggle to face hidden truths.
And finally, one that questions a character who seems helpful. Lisa the Liar from Silent Hill. Origins.
Right. This theory proposes that Nurse Lisa Garland, who seems to help Travis Grady in Origins, was actually intentionally lying to him, subtly delaying his progress to help the Order cult.
Why would she do that?
Well, her claim to Travis that Alyssa Gillespie died in the fire directly contradicts Silent Hill 1's established lore, where Lisa clearly cared for young Alyssa after the fire. While Origins doesn't spell it out as a lie, it doesn't line up. The most popular reason why she might help the cult: her addiction to PTV psychoactive transference virus, a powerful hallucinogenic drug. That addiction connects her strongly to the Order's illicit drug trade, suggesting compromised morality. This theory cleverly builds tension by questioning a seemingly helpful character's motives. Reminds you that in Silent Hill, nothing and no one is ever quite as straightforward or trustworthy as they first seem.
And the monsters themselves. They aren't just generic scary creatures for shock value, are they? They're the physical embodiment of the character's most horrifying experiences, their psychological torment. They're often way more disturbing because of that personal symbolic connection.
This is exactly why Silent Hill's monsters hit a different, deeper level of horror than, say, Resident Evil's iconic but often more biological or generic creatures. Silent Hill's monster designs aren't random. They're meticulously crafted to be direct, grotesque manifestations of specific character fears, traumas, nightmares. Take the abstract daddy in Silent Hill 2, that disturbing, almost bed-like design, widely seen as based on Angelo Roscoe's deeply traumatic past sexual abuse.
God, that's dark.
It is. Other unsettling examples. The pregnant woman with spider-like mechanical arms, a manifestation of unhealthy obsession with birth. The little ghoul-like children carrying scissors in the elementary school, embodying childhood fears or repressed violence. The unsettling bubblehead nurses, a twisted reflection of medical trauma objectification. These aren't just threats to beat with a pipe, they're deeply personal, often grotesque reflections of profound psychological trauma and guilt. It adds this profound layer of meaning to the horror, forces players to confront the emotional weight, the disturbing origins behind each manifestation, turns combat into deeply psychological confrontations, way beyond just monster hunting. You are essentially fighting the character's internal pain, made horrifyingly real. 4. The labyrinth of lore. Cults, symbolism, and puzzles.
So behind a lot of Silent Hill's deeper horrors, especially the story binding the earlier games, you've got the Order, this mysterious cult with deep, insidious roots in the town. Their story is as twisted and ancient as Silent Hill itself. And their goals, terrifyingly ambitious, adds this whole cosmic dread layer to the personal nightmares.
The Order is definitely a major antagonistic force in almost all of the Silent Hill games, intricately woven into the town's cursed existence. There's this fascinating origins theory, drawing from game lore and some non-canon comics, trying to shed light on their beginnings.
What's the theory?
It posits that long before Silent Hill was even settled by Europeans, a malicious entity or demon acted as a patron deity to the Native American tribes who originally lived there. Once they were displaced, the deity stopped getting sacrifices, leading to famine and death, this pervasive unease. It's theorized this entity later subtly influenced one or more of the Order's founders, convincing them to worship it as a god, not figuratively, but as a physical being existing on another plane. Kind of like Lovecraft's Cthulhu mythos horrors.
Wow.
Yeah. This backstory generates immense curiosity about the true ancient source of evil in Silent Hill. And it profoundly emphasizes the cult's insidious, long-standing influence over the town and its tragic people.
And they use some really unsettling symbolism, don't they? Feels like every ritual, every item is steeped in some deeper, often disturbing meaning.
They absolutely do. The cult's practices, their items, are heavily imbued with complex, often real-world occult and mystical traditions. It really enriches the lore, makes their beliefs feel genuinely ancient and powerful, like agloephotis, a spirit-dispelling substance they use, directly based on a similar herb from the Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism, the seal of Metatron, that powerful protective symbol, also called the Mark of Samael by Dahlia Gillespie. Samael, being an angel often seen as an adversary in some traditions, draws from specific angelic and demonic lore.
So it's all rooted somewhere.
Pretty much. And Floros, a charm Dahlia often uses, directly named after a demon listed in the Lemegeton, a famous old grimoire of magic. This intricate, deliberate use of real-world occult symbolism. It deepens the lore hugely, makes the cult feel not just fictional, but genuinely dangerous, connected to this hidden history of mystical, often malevolent beliefs, adds a chilling authenticity.
And right at the heart of the Order's story, and really the start of much of Silent Hill's nightmare reality, is Alessa Gillespie. Her tragic story is foundational.
Alessa's story is absolutely the singular origin point for so much of the town's shifting, terrifying reality and the cult's influence across the whole series. She was a young girl with incredibly potent psychic powers, made her a target. Dahlia Gillespie, her fanatical mother, a prominent cultist, subjected Alessa to this horrific ritual, immolated her, tried to force her to birth the cult's deity, but because she was the vessel, Alessa survived the fire, just in excruciating agony. Immortal, but profoundly scarred.
Horrifying.
Her immense mental resistance to the ritual actually caused her soul to split. One half stayed in her charred, suffering body, enduring constant pain in a hidden realm. The other half manifested as an infant, Cheryl, who Harry Mason later found and adopted. Dahlia's whole quest was then to lure Cheryl back to Silent Hill, rejoin the two halves of Alessa's soul, and finally bring forth their malevolent god. This complex, heartbreaking origin story is absolutely foundational to understanding the cult's twisted goals, the town's unique horrors, and the profound, almost unimaginable emotional cost of their actions.
Even the puzzles in Silent Hill, they aren't just simple roadblocks, are they? They're often these intricate riddles that force you to think about the underlying psychological themes. Makes you an active participant in deciphering the horror, not just, finding a key.
Exactly. That philosophical approach to puzzle design is a key distinction from, say, Resident Evil's more physical puzzles, moving statues, fitting crests into slots. Silent Hill's puzzles are mostly logic puzzles and riddles. They demand players think outside of the box, use reasoning and logic, often challenge you to understand the deeper meaning behind the words in the riddle, not just the surface solution. That intellectual engagement fundamentally immerses you, the player, deeper into the psychological fabric of the game, turns puzzle solving into an act of narrative interpretation.
And sometimes these puzzles can be incredibly provocative, lead to some really heavy fan theories, digging into uncomfortable truths. I'm thinking about that pro-choice theory from Silent Hill 3.
That is indeed a profoundly heavy theory, and it's deeply interwoven with Silent Hill 3's pervasive themes: maternity, unwanted creation, revulsion. At one critical point, Heather Mason, who's forced to carry the fetus of God inside her and feels immense disgust, wants to end the order. She needs a ladder. She says the line, "If only I had something long to snag it." Then she finds a straightened coat hanger in a women's clothing store, uses it to get the ladder.
Okay.
Many perceptive players and theorists believe this whole sequence is a powerful symbolic metaphor for abortion. Reflecting Heather's deep revulsion of her situation, her desperate struggle against this parasitic entity growing inside her. Considering the game's rich, layered symbolism and its deliberate ambiguity, this theory isn't far-fetched at all. It adds a highly provocative, profoundly meaningful piece of symbolism for you, the listener, to mull over. Deepens the game's thematic complexity and emotional impact significantly.
Then there's the paranoia theory from Silent Hill 4. The room brilliantly plays on that pervasive sense of being watched, even when you think you're safe.
This theory vividly suggests that protagonist Henry Townsend, trapped inexplicably in his apartment, room 302, is at all times being watched. When he's inside room 302, fans widely believe he's being observed by the lingering ghost of Joseph Schreiber, the room's previous, tragically dead occupant. Supported by Schreiber's chilling line, "I am always watching you."
Creepy.
And when Henry ventures outside his apartment into the other world, the theory posits it's none other than Walter Sullivan, the game's main antagonist, keeping a close, predatory watch, appearing now and then to attack. This constant sense of surveillance builds this pervasive, unbearable tension throughout the whole game, makes you, the player, constantly question your safety, your perception whether you are truly ever alone, significantly amps up the psychological pressure of isolation and vulnerability.
Well, what really makes Silent Hill's narrative so enduring, so endlessly talked about, is that intentional vagueness, right? Leaving so much open to interpretation.
This intentional ambiguity is a deliberate, masterful choice that defines the series. The games often leave aspects of the story and characters purposely vague and open to interpretation, with multiple, often cryptic endings. This inherent ambiguity creates a powerful sense of unease and psychological tension. Players grapple with uncertainty, struggle to make sense of often horrific, contradictory events. It powerfully encourages introspection, deep reflection on your own fears and anxieties, makes the horror deeply personal, uniquely impactful, which raises an important question for you to consider. How much should a story explicitly dictate its meaning versus subtly suggest it? Silent Hill consistently chooses the latter. Trusts you, the player, to piece together its often horrific truths, makes the narrative truly collaborative, deeply impactful, and endlessly replayable, still sparking debate years later after.
So from its ingenious technical foundations, turning severe limitations into artistic triumphs, to its deeply personal narratives of trauma and guilt, and those vibrant fan theories still expanding its universe. Silent Hill truly stands as a masterclass in psychological horror. It's a series that doesn't just scare you in the moment. It makes you think, makes you question. And it stays with you, doesn't it? Long after the credits roll.
Indeed. Its profound, enduring power lies in its ability to consistently challenge our perceptions, to deliberately blur the lines between reality and delusion, and to relentlessly force us to confront uncomfortable truths both within the game's narrative and, perhaps most disturbingly, within ourselves. The genius wasn't merely in creating a scary game. It was in meticulously crafting an experience that makes the player complicit in the fear, an active participant in their own psychological torment. It's an enduring legacy that continues to resonate, continues to provoke thought today.
Think about this. If Silent Hill is truly a mirror, reflecting your deepest guilt and fears, what would your Silent Hill look like? What horrors would manifest for you in that foggy, desolate town?
And beyond that, take a moment to consider how many of these seemingly fantastical horrors we've discussed are actually profound allegories for the very real psychological burdens we carry in our everyday lives. Perhaps the most terrifying monsters aren't born in some cursed town, but are the ones we create ourselves, consciously or unconsciously, within the confines of our own minds.